This is Solving Equations Part 2 with the variable on both sides. Let's start with a review from Solving Equations Part 1, or we can call this a warm-up. I need to do two things to begin with. I need to get rid of the fraction, and I need to distribute. To make life easier, I'm going to start by distributing. The 3 comes in and multiplies times the 2x, and the 3 comes in and multiplies times the negative 4. That gives me 6x minus 12 plus x over 2 is equal to 1. Now, I don't like dealing with fractions, and I don't think you do either. So what we're going to do is we're going to get rid of the fraction. In order to get rid of the fractions, we multiply everything by the common denominator, in this case, a 2. While this is going to give us a slightly larger equation, it's going to make life easier by not making us work with fractions. What happens here is the 2 and the 2 cancel each other out, leaving me only with the x. The equal sign comes straight down. Now I continue multiplying. The 1 times 2 is 2. The plus sign came straight down. Negative 12 times 2, negative 24. 6x times 2 is 12x. Now I need to combine like terms. I have a 12x and a 1x. Remember, there's an invisible 1 in front of that x. When I combine like terms, that gives me 12 plus 1 is 13x minus 24 is equal to 2. Now I do PEMDAS backwards. The opposite of subtracting 24 is to add 24. Whatever I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other. This is our quick check. Negative 24, positive 24 cancel each other out. The 13x comes down. That is equal to 26. The opposite of multiplying by 13 is to divide by 13. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. 13 divided by 13 cancels out, and that leaves me with an x is equal to 26 divided by 13 is 2. Remember, we always try to combine like terms first. And we always have to have all the x's on the same side of the equal sign. So that's what we're going to do here. We're going to start by combining our like terms with the x's. I have a 5x on one side. I have a 7x on the other side. I need to combine those on the same side. Similarly, I have a negative 2 on the left-hand side, and I have a positive 6 on the right-hand side. I need to combine those onto one side. This is how we do it. If possible, I want my x's to be positive, so I'm going to subtract the smaller number, the 5x. Whatever I do from one side of the equal sign, I do to the other, minus 5x. By doing the opposite sign, we cancel out. Over here, I have 7x, take away the 5x, gives me 2x. Now, I take away the 2 and move it to the right. The opposite of subtracting 2 is adding 2. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other side. I check, does negative 2 and positive 2 cancel? Yes, they do. And that leaves me with 2 plus 6, which is 8 on the right-hand side. Now, you always keep your equal sign straight down the middle. Now, it's a simple problem. The opposite of multiplying by 2 is to divide by 2. What I do to one side, I do to the other. 2 divided by 2 cancels out, leaving me with x is equal to 4. And just a quick reminder, whenever you're solving these, it should always look like a triangle when you're finished. Starting large, narrowing down, and your equal sign should be perfectly straight down the middle. This is how all equations should look. This problem, there's quite a few things to start with. On the left-hand side, I see that I have a like term of a negative 6x and a positive 4x. On the right-hand side, I see that I have a distribution problem that I need to take care of before I can combine any like terms. So we'll go from left to right. On the left, the positive 4 is staying the same. Negative 6x and a positive 4x gives us a negative 2x. Equal sign is coming straight down. The negative 1 has not changed. The negative 5 multiplies times the 7 to give me a negative 35. And again, the negative 5 multiplies times the negative 2 to give me a positive 10x. This is an error point that many people make. The whole -5 is distributing, not just the 5, the -5. Now we look for more like terms to combine. I have a -1 and a -35. I'm going to combine those right now in this step. The left-hand side hasn't changed yet. Negative 2x is equal to -1 minus 35 gives me a -36 plus 10x. As we said in the last problem, we always want to try to keep the x's positive. What that means is I'm going to add 2x to this side and add 2x to this side. After they cancel out, I'll be left with a positive 12x. In order to get the x's by themselves, I'm going to move the 36 to the left-hand side. So I'm going to add 36. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. Those cancel out, and that gives me a positive 40 on the left-hand side. And I'm bringing my equal sign straight down. My 12 is a little bit off to the side, so I'm going to move it closer. Now I have 12x is equal to 40. The opposite of multiplying by 12 is to divide by 12. Whatever I do to one side, we always do to the other. Divide by 12. That gives me an x, an equal sign. Well, 40 and 12 don't divide. However, I can reduce. So as a side problem, I'm going to say 40 divided by 12. I know that they're both able to reduce by 4. So I'm going to divide the top by 4, and I'm going to divide the bottom by 4. That's going to give me 10 over 3. So I have 10 over 3 is equal to x. Now this is backwards. Most of the time we're going to want it with the x in front. What you do is you simply write it the other way. Don't change anything, just write it backwards. I have an x, I have an equal sign, I have a 10 over 3. Here's our next problem. Again, we need to try to combine like terms first. On the left-hand side, I have no like terms. On the right-hand side, I have a y and I have a 3y. I also have a -6 and a -2. So we're going to combine like terms. Remember, the coefficient or number in front of the variable for the y is 1. It's an invisible one. So before we add them, we should probably write the invisible one. When I combine like terms, since nothing is changing on the left, I'm just going to bring it straight down. -8 plus 4y is equal to 1y and 3y give me 4y. -6 and -2 give me -8. Now I need all the y's on the same side. So the opposite of positive 4y is a minus 4y. What I do to one side, I do to the other. The opposite of a -8 is a positive 8. What I do to one side, I do to the other. Now, something very interesting happens here. -8 and positive 8 cancels out. -4 and positive 4 cancels out. -4 and positive 4 cancels, and again, they cancel. If nothing is left, everything has canceled to 0 is equal to 0. This is a valid answer. There's two ways of writing this answer. You'll see it's written as an infinite number of solutions, or you'll see it written as all real numbers. Now, most textbooks in algebra will have this. However, some of your teachers will be okay with the all real numbers. Moving on. In this problem, we have multiple distributions, which means we're going to distribute before we can combine like terms. We have a -3 outside the house. So that means the -3 is going to distribute to the 4 and to the -3. Remember, I am distributing the entire -3. The 6x minus 12 hasn't done anything, so they're going to come straight down. 6x minus 12. -3 times 4 is -12x. -3 times -3 is a positive 9. Equal sign comes straight down. The 9 is going to distribute times the 2 and times the 1. 9 times 2 is 18x. 9 times 1 is 9. Notice, On all of my distribution problems, I'm drawing the lines and the arrows. This is to help prevent you from making a mistake. Again, I have the entire -2 is going to distribute to the x and to the -2. -2 times x is -2x. -2 times -2 is a positive 4. Now I look for like terms that I can combine. 6x, -12x. -12, positive 9. On the right-hand side, I have an 18x and a -2x, and I also have a positive 9 and a positive 4. When I combine like terms, I'm left with 6x take away 12x is a -6x. -12 and a positive 9 gives you a -3. The equal sign is coming straight down. 18x take away 2x is 16x. 9 plus 4 is a positive 13. Again, we want our variables to always be positive if possible. In order to keep this one positive, I'm going to move the -6 over to the right. In order to do that, I ask myself, what's the opposite of subtracting 6? That's adding 6x. What you do to one side, you do to the other. Draw our line. These cancel, and that leaves me with 22x. My equal sign is coming straight down. At the same time, I can move the 13 to the left. The opposite of adding 13 is to subtract 13. What I do to one side, I do to the other. These cancel out, and -3 and -13 gives me -16. Now the opposite of multiplying by 22 is to divide by 22. What I do to one side, I do to the other. These cancel out, and that leaves me with x is equal to -16 over 22. But I know that can reduce. So as a side problem, -16 over 22, I try to reduce these. I can divide both by 2 because they're both even. 16 divided by 2 is -8 over 22 divided by 2 is 11. It gives me x is equal to -8 over 11. But it's backwards, so I rewrite it forward so that it looks correct. X is equal to -8 over 11.